Yeah, man. I had the opportunity to obviously see your operations, and it's pretty special. And to go back on, you were down in Boston College. You were an unbelievable runner in high school, and really had an amazing career. But I mean, I think that a great story is when you started in 2009. You were legitimately, it was you and the other, AKA Fitzy, who started this thing, and you were sleeping at the store. I mean, you had one location. You started from the ground up. You had no employees. It was just you two grinding it out. And here you are now, almost, we'll call it 11 years later, with 5 locations, two states, and a sixth one coming. So, I mean, tell us about the process, man. I mean, it must have been hard, but what kind of got you through it, and how did you grow it so quickly?
Yeah, I mean that's I mean you summarized it pretty well. I mean Dan and I started, just Tim and I, and we worked side by side together every day for probably a year and a half before maybe 2 years before we hired our first employee. And that was, those kind of first couple of years were really incredible learning experiences, and figuring out how to make things happen. Like, you only, in business, I think you you make if you make a mistake once, that's fine, right? But just don't
Yeah,
make the same mistake again, right? So I
yeah,
think I think we still make tons of mistakes, but I think people underestimate just being in business for 10 years, how much we've learned in those 10 years,
yeah,
and how hard it's been. If you told me you know, in 2009 how hard it would have been, I don't think we would have opened up, honestly.
really,
I'm
yeah,
glad we did. Yeah, I'm glad we did, and I'm glad we are where we are now. And I think, at some point, it's just, you just have to keep going.
yeah,
It doesn't,
yeah.
like closing isn't an option. And I think that's the same approach we've taken to this, the current, COVID situation. And we've had to shutter all the stores. And um, you know, we will Heartbreak will be there on the other side of this thing.
So
And
I mean,